topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Hey, good morning, Dallas-Fort Worth. Welcome to another Ask the Expert show where we bring you the top experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. We do shows all over the country. Dallas-Fort Worth is my original home. Spent most of my life there. We are now in Florida. But this is a very special show to me because I suffer with sleep apnea. And this show is so easy to do. And just to let you know about how we choose experts, 12 years ago, our show has been running for a long time. 12 years ago, I heard about a top sleep clinic in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And I heard so many great things. Now, I'd already gone through all my tests long before this. I was already on a CPAP machine, but I heard what a great clinic this was. And at the time, they only had one location. And things happen. I've been wanting to get them on our show for 12 years, literally now. Well, now I believe they've got 6 or 7 locations. I might be wrong, but Dr. Kent Smith has built up one of the most incredible sleep clinics in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And we get so many letters now about his show, which we're going to use those letters today. But I got to tell you, this is one of the great, when it comes to sleep apnea, without a doubt. I mean, it was worth waiting 12 years to get Dr. Ken Smith with Star Sleep Wellness. Good morning, Dr. Smith.
Good morning. Glad to be here, Steve. Let's talk about sleep today.
You're my opening monologue is always longer with you because I've got so much respect for what you've built up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And because I suffered from sleep apnea, or I don't really suffer anymore because I have my CPAP machine, but what you have done, and I'm finding out there's so many people out there, Dr. Smith, that probably are suffering from sleep apnea, but they're too afraid to do anything about it. But hopefully we're going to convince them today they need to do something about it. Tell us about your clinic.
Yeah, well, as you've referenced, we started this many years ago. I've been treating this for going on 30 years, long time.
Wow.
And it was kind of slow going at first. There was not a lot of talk about sleep apnea, and people just thought snoring was funny. And, it took some convincing. But, over time, we started one clinic in Irving, and then we moved out to Frisco. And now we've got 6 that have opened, and 7 and 8 will be open before the end of the year. We're moving out of state even. So it's really,
wow.
It's happening. So we're excited about that. There are some complications moving outside of Texas, but I think we've solved those issues. So we treat all kinds of sleep problems. Sleep apnea is the biggest problem. So that's really what we focus on: snoring and sleep disordered breathing when somebody's trying to breathe and they can't. And most of the time, it's the bed partner that makes them come in.
Yes.
It's funny and not funny. Yesterday, as a matter of fact, we had some friends that were over. We just got back from a week of scuba diving in Turks and Caicos, and they house set for us. So they were here to kind of collect all their stuff and go home. And I'm talking to the husband, and we've been trying to get him to have a sleep study for years. We've known them for about 10 years. As I'm talking to him, he falls asleep in the chair. And I can't believe you're falling asleep, dude. And he just refuses to believe he has a problem. That's what we see all the time.
I noticed that, I'm here in Florida now, but I noticed that my friend, her sister, will fall asleep, and then the loud snoring, and you say, "You're snoring," and then first thing, "No, I'm not. No, I'm
Right.
not."
Yeah. And I guarantee you there's probably millions of bed partners out there that have been trying to convince their partner to get help and to fix their snoring, and they just refuse because they don't believe. There's several reasons. Number one, they don't believe they have a problem. Number two, they've seen the CPAP machine, and even though it's a lifesaver, they just think if I go in and have a sleep study, they're going to make me wear one of those masks. And yeah, maybe we're going to suggest that, but there are other options out there now, and people just shouldn't be scared of testing their sleep. We have very easy ways now. A lot of people are wearing these rings that there's all kinds of options out there now, the Aura ring and some others that will let them know they're not very good diagnostics, but at least they create awareness for sleep problems. So I'm hoping if you have one of those rings, you bought one of these over-the-counter top rings that tell you about your sleep. Sometimes the Apple Watch can even tell you. Pay attention to that. And if you see that you're not getting good scores in whatever format it uses, it might be time to get a real sleep study and just see.
I look back when I went for my first sleep study, Dr. Smith. Oh my God! First of all, you had to go to a special facility that was set up for this. So you had to sleep outside the house in a bed that probably for me wasn't comfortable at all. And they stick all these leads. I mean, you're afraid to even move. It's so much different now. You can do it right at home.
Yeah, technology is what it is. It just keeps improving in every field, and certainly it's continued to do that in sleep. It's much, much easier. We do have rings now that are diagnostic. You can't buy them over the counter, but there's different degrees of complications. And sometimes if you come in and you say, "Well, I have restless legs. I just can't get my legs to calm down." Well, we'll give you one kind of study for that. But in general, just to check the health of your sleep, it's so easy now. And some of these are even disposable. You can throw them away after you use them.
Dr. Smith, does it bother you? There's a commercial that runs all the time, and you put a piece of tape, because I should know, I tried it, but it didn't work. But you put a piece of tape across the top of your nose, and it's supposed to get you to stop snoring. Doesn't that irk you? I mean, because it did not work for me.
Yeah, I mean, at least people are trying something, and it helps create awareness a little bit that, hey, you've got snoring, at least try to get it fixed. So I'm not going to say too many bad things about those. And if you can breathe better through your nose, it's always a good thing. The nose has good filters. If you can't breathe through your nose, you have to breathe through your mouth, and there's no good filters in there. So you're more likely to get sick from the pathogens that you're breathing in. We want people breathing through their nose.
Let's just get started. We've got so many emails that have written from your last show last month. Ken and Richardson, what are common symptoms of sleep apnea?
Well, I mean, snoring would be one of the first ones, but we have silent apnea as well. We have people that don't even snore but have sleep apnea. So, uh, stopping breathing, if you have a bed partner that can kind of watch you sleep, if you stop breathing, that's a sign. But some symptoms that you might have are daytime sleepiness. You get your 7.5 hours of sleep, and you still have to drink coffee all day to stay awake. You have to take stimulants. You have to, all the kind of stuff you have to do to stay awake. You roll down the window when you're driving. So we don't want people falling asleep at the wheel, obviously, for safety reasons, but also hypertension. Probably one of the first things that people get. You don't necessarily have to have hypertension, but if you have it, you should check to see if you have apnea, because it can lead to hypertension and many other cardiovascular diseases. You might have indigestion and reflux. You might get depressed easily. You really, any heart problem that you have, if you've got any of that, if diabetes, there's just so many. We used to say that cancer was the only thing that wasn't caused by a breathing problem. And then we found 3 different cancers that are. So
Wow.
every single pathology out there, every health condition you have can be tied to untreated sleep apnea. You need to breathe at night. You have to breathe. Oxygen is important. Every organ in your body needs oxygen. So if you have any ailment at all, might not be bad to get a sleep study to check it out just to make sure your sleep is healthy.
Julie Mesquite, I love your show. Thank you so much for educating us. What is better, the CPAP machine or the oral appliance?
Well, that's a good question. There's also surgeries that can treat apnea. We usually suggest using the non-surgical methods first to see if you can get it controlled. And then if you just can't or refuse or whatever, then you can move to the surgery. CPAP is meant for the more severe patients. It can work. It works 95% of the time on all conditions. So you could get a CPAP even with mild or moderate. But an oral device is a little easier to wear, easier to travel with. There's no replacement parts. The compliance is better if you give somebody an oral device. They're more likely to wear it than a CPAP machine. But if you've got a severe condition, and that means if you stop breathing at least 30 times per hour, every 2 minutes you stop breathing, that's when you move into the severe category. And at that point, a CPAP is what we would suggest. But we have patients that we have treated with oral devices that are severe, that they have been successfully treated. So you never know. It really depends sometimes on BMI. Sometimes it depends on genetics. It depends on the position of your jaw, a lot of things. But, we help you make that decision, as every clinic should. They should allow you to make the decision on your therapy and not limit you and say, you have to do this one thing, because there are options out there.
I just want to get this in real quick. And we sent them your phone number. Robert in Fort Worth wants to know if you have an office in Fort Worth.
No, we don't yet. That is in the future, but right now we don't. Mansfield is the closest. I don't know.
When is Mansfield opening up, Dr. Smith?
July 1st.
July 1st. Oh, soon.
Yep. Yeah.
And you have another location opening up?
Yeah, we've got Houston opening up, but we've also got North Carolina. So I don't know if we have anybody here in North Carolina, but before the end of the year, we'll have Houston and North Carolina. And then we're looking at Alabama and Washington, Oklahoma, and some other things. But for now, it's the DFW area primarily.
Okay. John and Garland, is there a such thing as unhealthy sleep? And if there is, what does it look like?
Yeah, I mean, it might not necessarily be sleep apnea. Now, again, apnea is Latin for no breath. So if you have apnea, you're not breathing like you should be. There's other kinds of unhealthy sleep. You could have any kind of what we call parasomnias. You could be sleepwalking, sleep talking. You could be, narcolepsy is a problem, although that's not considered what we call a parasomnia. But regardless, I've had patients that have built a patient that has built a set of shelves in their sleep. They had no idea they were doing it. So these are the kind of things you can do when you're asleep that aren't really healthy. There are some neurodegenerative problems that are unhealthy. People that take, Benadryl. If somebody uses Benadryl every night to go to sleep, that's not good. It's got what we call an anticholinergic in it. Our body needs choline. And if you're using a medication that fights choline, you're more likely to develop Parkinson's. So there are some situations like this. There's a lot of education needs to happen in sleep. And I think a lot of people don't ask the right questions or don't seek out a professional to get help if they have unhealthy sleep.
Lynn in Dallas wants to know, if I snore, does that mean I have sleep apnea?
No, it doesn't mean you do, but it doesn't mean you don't. You're more likely to have it if you snore. So if you snore and it doesn't bother anybody, the only reason to get a study and see if you have sleep apnea is just for your health. But if the snoring bothers somebody, then that's double reason to get a study just to see. Most people are shocked when they find out that they stop breathing 20 times every hour.
Oh, I was.
Yeah, it's not uncommon. They come in and they don't think they have it. I'm just here because my wife told me to come in. Okay, well, let's do a study. And then they see the results. And sometimes they'll say, I don't believe that. I don't think that study's right. Well, they're right.
Wow. Dr. Smith, I got to tell you, and I want our audience out there that I really understand what you're going through. And I got to tell you, when I fell asleep in a class and the teacher had to wake me up, first of all, that was so embarrassing. But I got to tell you that when I hear about a person who was in an auto accident, I think about, did they fall asleep at the wheel? Because that's what would happen to me. I'd be driving and all of a sudden I'd fall asleep. And that's when I knew I had to go get help. Do you ever think about that? I mean, is it just me? When there's a wreck, you think about, hey, I wonder if they fell asleep because they have sleep apnea.
I think that all the time. Every time I see a wreck, I think the same
So I'm
thing.
not weird, okay?
No, you're not weird. No, I've
Wow.
just heard too many stories. I was an expert witness in a case where a truck driver fell asleep and killed a family of 4. And those things happen a lot. We just aren't aware of it. I don't drive by trucks anymore. If I'm up
That
by a
makes
truck,
sense.
I did a lot of research back in the day about this and found out how many. It's just hushed up. We don't hear about this. But truck drive, you'll see in the news, you'll see a truck that's hanging over an overpass or something. It's all these people drive a lot. And if you've got sleep disordered breathing and you fall asleep, that's not a good thing. And you could kill other people, not just yourself.
Exactly. Here's one of my favorite questions, Dr. Smith. Cindy in Dallas, she said, I'm so glad I found this show. My husband snores so loud, it has hurt our marriage. I know you
Yeah.
hear that a lot.
Yeah, we
What
do.
happens, and this is why this is such a good question. What happens if they don't get treated?
Well, I mean, for one thing, the bed partner of a snorer, if they consistently snore every night, most of the night, that bed partner loses an hour and a half of sleep every night.
Wow.
And if your partner makes you lose an hour and a half of sleep, that's going to wear on a marriage. Yes. Any kind of partnership is going to be, and they think sleeping in another room solves the problem, and it doesn't. It helps the person who's not snoring, but you have to consider the health of the one who is. And it's not difficult to fix this problem.
It isn't. And people say that they're afraid, like, especially I went the CPAP route, and I got to tell you that you just get used to it. It's like if I have to, I had to go into the hospital for something, and they had this huge machine there for a CPAP. That was really uncomfortable, but I got to tell you, it's like no big deal. It really isn't, and you feel so much better the next morning. I want to get to Leslie, and this is one from Tyler, Dr. Smith. I She said, "I love your show. My husband snores but won't admit it. We've seen that a lot. How do I talk him into making an appointment with you?"
Well, it threatened to leave him.
And
Well, if
you
you
hear
can,
that all the time, don't you?
yes, oh yeah, yeah. So one trick I have heard is, making sure your husband's life insurance is paid up,
Yeah.
and then say, let's just say his name is Bob. Bob, if you don't get this treated, uh, I would prefer that you die rather than have a stroke. Because if you have a stroke, I have to walk you around in your wheelchair the rest of your life, and I don't want to do that. So please, if you don't get this treated, just die and don't have a stroke, because either of those things could happen.
It's the things that you think that might I mean I just remember that when the doctor said, well, I'm on a what's called a BiPAP machine. It's not a CPAP, it's a
Yeah.
BiPAP. I mean, I've got it really bad, but I was so nervous. And I got to tell you, the best thing you can do is make an appointment. First of all, see if you have a sleep apnea problem. Is go to one of your six, soon to be seven, eight locations, and find out if that's what your problem is. The sleep is no big deal because I can't believe you do this at home. Why did they never think about that before, Dr. Smith?
Yeah, well, AI wasn't around 20 years ago either. So,
Yeah, I
yeah.
know, but it makes such a major difference in your life. And it really is when you think about you actually stop breathing, that alone should scare you. And if you have a wife or a husband that snores, you nailed it, Dr. Smith, because it keeps the other person from getting good sleep. I never even thought of it that way, but that's really true. Tell people, we've got about 3 minutes left, why they should sign up, come in, make an appointment. And we just had someone who just wrote us, does insurance cover this at all?
Yes, medical insurance covers it, whether it's an oral device or a CPAP machine or a BiPAP machine or surgery. Medical insurance understands that if you treat it, you're less likely to have health problems later on, which is going to
Right.
cost the insurance company more. They don't want to have to pay for a heart attack and all the things that occur because of that. They don't want to have to pay for all your medications if you have diabetes. They would
Exactly.
prefer to prevent you from having that. I mean,
So
there are
go ahead.
three pillars of health. There's exercise, diet, and sleep. Those are the three things that you must do and do healthfully. What is the easiest of those things to do? Sleep,
Sleep. Yeah.
and to sleep healthfully. So we can cross one of those off. If you don't want to diet and you don't want to exercise, okay, but at least get good sleep. That's the easiest of those three to fix.
So is there a phone number? Is there one phone number for all the people listening on radio and iHeartRadio and Spotify and Apple right now? Is there one number they can call that's good for any location?
Yes, yes. For any location, it's 844-409-4657. And the website, that's an older website that you have scrolling there. The website is for Star Sleep and Wellness, is stswell.com.
Well.com.
STSwell.com. Yeah.
Dr. Smith, what the good news is Dr. Smith is with us every month. He'll be back again with us next month. Plus, we replayed this show twice a month on top of his live show we're doing now. Dr. Smith, I am so glad that we have you as our expert for my favorite city, Dallas Fort Worth. We will see you again next month on more Ask the Experts.
I'll look forward to it. Everybody sleep well out there.
Yes. Thanks, Dr. Smith. That's Dr. Kent Smith. He is he's been doing this for a long time. We have waited so long to have him as part of our show, and we're so glad to have him. That's going to do it for us today. We'll be back again with you next week with more Ask the Experts.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.